Hey, what's going on? So I'm glad you asked this question. So to answer your question, you're basically like summarize, if God is all powerful, why did he need to become human and die to save us, right? Couldn't he just erase sin or forgive it without a bloody sacrifice? So here's the explanation, right? Number one, God's nature and justice. So God isn't random or careless, right? He is perfect, holy, and just. So sin is not just a mistake, it's a violation of his nature. So because God is just, sin cannot just be ignored. That's like ignoring a murderer that's just like ignoring a murderer without like putting him in jail. You know what I'm saying? So justice demands a penalty. If he simply erased sin without any consequences, that would contradict his perfect and justice nature. So scripture calls this the wrath of God against sin. Number two, right? God's power is not without purpose. So yes, God is all powerful, but his power always acts in harmony with his nature. So he cannot sin, lie, or act unjustly. So erasing sin magically without addressing the consequences would violate his justice. So God did not lack power. He acted according to his holy character, right? Number three, the incarnation and the cross. God became human in Jesus, fully identify with his creation, not because he lacked power. So empathy and empathy. Jesus lived the way humans do. He faced temptation, suffering, and death. So this shows God truly does understand our condition, right? And then Jesus died as a perfect sacrifice for sin, paying the penalty that we deserved. Right? That's why I think this is actually love. This is very loving of God, right? He paid the penalty that we deserved, right? It's a picture of life and death showing seriousness of sin, right? The seriousness of sin and the depth of God's love, right? So God's sacrifice is voluntary and self-giving. It is not imposed. So why can't God just erase sin, right? Imagine someone destroys your home. A simple erase of the destruction might ignore the violation of justice. You want the wrong addressed, right? So sin violated God's creation. To forgive without addressing the violation would be unjust. So God provided the only way to satisfy both justice and mercy. His own son, who is both God and man, dies to bear the penalty and then rises victorious. So sin cannot simply be erased. So sin has built-in consequences, spiritual death and separation from God. So if God had simply erased sin without sacrifice, it wouldn't remove the actual spiritual death. So basically, the consequences of disobedience were still real. So without a actual sacrifice, that debt would still demand payment. And it's the natural consequence is death, spiritually eternal, right? So yeah, it is love because he died for us. Yeah, that's in summary. So the cross is the ultimate demonstration of God's love. Yeah, that's pretty much all I got to say.